call myself Steve Diamond. That's my mother's maiden name. I'm principally an artist, a painter, but I've fallen into the role of walking tour guide and historian. If you go back 150 years, there's hardly anyone here. You have perhaps 74 people living here. And then you have coast guards. You have people working in a quarry, but the town as such didn't exist. You had a few people in Chichester Hamlet around a fortress by the sea, a few people by a mill at Bentra, and a few people at the quarry. But the town as such is the child of the railway. The county road came through in 1854, but the railway came through in 1862, and that was the big game changer. An inland route had been proposed, and if that had been chosen by Parliament, Whitehead would not be here. But they chose the seaside route, having overcome various obstacles like White Harbour, which had been insuperable before. And once the railway was here, you had various visionaries who says, right, smoky Victorian Belfast, this can be a fantastic seaside resort for day trippers from Belfast. Portrush is too far away. And the railway company, in a piece of extraordinary social engineering, said, right, anyone who builds a house big enough in Whitehead will give you a free 10-year ticket. If you build a really fancy house, we'll give you a free first-class 10-year ticket. And they sold hundreds of these so-called villa tickets, and people were building these houses, and the railway company were playing the long game. Because that house, someone will die, they will move away, someone will buy it, someone will inherit it, and they'll have to catch the train to get to Belfast. And it worked. I was a commuter to Belfast for 14 years. I'm one of the poor suckers who fell for the trap of the railway company. And so, yes, you then even had Barclay Dean Wise, the railway company's chief engineer, says, right, let's build a promenade, let's build the Gobbins Cliff Path, let's build the Blackhead Path. He was making tourist attractions to pull day trippers from Belfast to Whitehead. And you've got to remember, of course, no one can take a holiday to Spain, no one can catch an air flight anywhere, they don't exist yet, but they can catch the train and go to Whitehead. Belfast is very smoky with its industries and coal fires in every house. Whitehead has clean sea air, and the Victorians are convinced it's good for you. And compared to the smog of cities, it's great. And that started the boom in hotel building and house building in Whitehead. You have a slump in the 1930s. You have the Great Depression, a global slump. But in Whitehead, the slump comes slightly earlier in the 20s. And the railway company decides, right, we no longer want to maintain the Blackhead Path, and we're going to cut down the old rusting away iron fancy bridges on it, and we're going to stop maintaining the promenade. And a group called Whitehead Urban District Council is formed, who are local people who live here, who formed a ratepayers association, and they went for the idea of urban powers. If a place had enough population, 1,500 people, it could apply to have its own urban powers, keep ratepayers' money and spend it here with its own sort of town council. The trouble was Whitehead didn't have enough people. And in 1921, there was no census. We had partition, we had chaos, we had the new government at Stormont. So they had to do a private census, and lo and behold, they found 1,566 people. So they got over that line and formed a local government, Whitehead Urban District Council, and they took over Blackhead Path and gave it concrete bridges that last to this day. They took over the promenade and made it more permanent. They gave us the bowling green. They gave us our first affordable housing, so this was no longer the playground for the rich with their villas that they could use as summer homes from Belfast. And that was the genesis of Whitehead as a town for commuters and for retired people. Air travel and other things had eroded the tourism market, and the Troubles ended up killing off most of our hotels. Some were actually firebombed and destroyed. And in 1973, you have direct rule, and Whitehead Urban District Council is abolished along with lots of other levels of government here, and we're folded into Carrickfergus Council, whereas our hinterland of Islandmagee is handed over to Larne Council, and the place is kind of cut in half administrationally, which is geographic nonsense, but it was all to do with postcodes. And so we now have Whitehead Community Association, and we're in one of their rooms right now. And that is just private citizens, volunteers making a committee to run things like a summer festival or a Victorian street fair, which are again that attempt to bring in tourists to see what is still a fantastic and beautiful place. Oh, today Whitehead has around 3,600 citizens. The railway is still the artery, the lifeblood of the town, because it's quite a compact place. You know, we have one football team, we have County Antrim Yacht Club, we have the Whitehead Railway Museum. People know each other, and you have all sorts of volunteer societies. Brighter Whitehead are a group who fill up the flower planters around the town. The Whitehead Wombles are people who go out litter picking. So there is actually a strong sense of community engagement here, which is great. So for a small town, I think we punch well above our weight.